is this not? Okay. Lil. It's just bigger. Alright. So today I'm going to be playing Lotus Breach combo in Pioneer. Before I start, I just wanted to do a quick and dirty explanation of what the deck does, what it is. Um, Basically a big mana combo deck. The basic premise is you're going to use the card Lotus Field, which taps, it's one land that taps for 3 mana, and Thespian Stage. So Lotus Field's drawback is when it enters, you have to sacrifice 2 lands. So you need 2 other lands in play before you can even play it, or else you sacrifice it to itself. But if you get to untap it, you get to make 3 mana each time you untap it, which is very nice. The combo with Thespian Stage is Thespian Stage becomes a copy of it, but Thespian Stage is already on the battlefield, so you don't have the enter trigger, so you just get an extra Lotus Field without sacrificing more lands. So that's the main thing we're looking for. It's tough to keep a hand without either of these in your opener, or ways to search for them, but because you really don't do anything if you don't have a Lotus Field. The other cards in the deck are a couple sort of ramp type spells. Grazer lets you put lands into play and blocks. Brawl gives you a little bit of extra mana, but it's not quite your final form, I guess. Sylvan Scrying searches for either Lotus Field or Thespian Stage. It's worth noting, neither of these cards are really weak to hand disruption, so Thoughtseize effects are very strong, but once you find them, they can't really be touched. And you want as many Thespian Stages as you can get, but at least the first Lotus Field. The first Lotus Field is the most important. That's what you're going to be looking for with Sylvan Scrying. Shimmer is just another 2 mana way to basically search for one of your pieces. There's another card, Strategic Planning, which is 2 mana sorcery. Look at the top 3, put 1 to your hand, the rest into your graveyard. That's a little better with stuff like Dig Through Time, which you want cards in your graveyard to delve, and maybe Balagad Recovery is like a way to find a card and have access to another card to pick up, but that's kind of niche. I think Shimmer's seeing play instead because it looks 1 card deeper and you really don't have a ton of graveyard stuff. This next column is the mana. Hidden Strings untaps or taps 2 different permanents. It has Cipher, which is not going to come up often, but it will come up some of the time. Cipher just means when it resolves, you can basically put it on a creature, and whenever that creature deals damage, you get to cast the spell again. You don't have a ton of creatures that deal damage, but we do have 1 power flying creatures, and sometimes you get to tap their lands, put it on your Fae of Wishes, attack, untap your lands, and then combo post-combat when they're all tapped down. So this becomes something that they have to counter in the right board state, but oftentimes you just let it go to the graveyard for Dig Through Time. Vizier, you cycle, untap a land, so it costs 2 and untaps 3 mana, so it's plus a mana plus a card. Sometimes you cast it. That's kind of rare though, but it is another. This one only untaps. This is another one that you can cipher onto because it has a power. It can block, but it's mostly here just to cycle. And pour over the pages is the big payoff. Draw 3 and untap up to 2 lands, then discard a card. This one just does it all. What you're basically trying to do is get field stage 2 copies of this, and then this gives you +1 mana because it costs 5 and untaps 2, so 6 mana. You go up a mana, go up 3 cards, and discard 1. You're gonna have extra lands, whatever. Draw 3, discard is pretty. Discard 1 is very strong effect, especially on the combo turn. We'll, these are your win conditions, but we'll get next. Here's just sort of like the gas cards, I guess. Dig Through Time is just a powerful card to filter mid combo or in your setup turns. Alligator Recovery is a land and also gas when you need it. It's very important that you hit your first 2 land drops because Lotus Field doesn't really come down if you don't have 2 lands in play other than it. So just always having, it says we have 22 lands, but we really only have 18 lands that can come in on the first 2 turns if you don't count the Lotus Field. So just having these 3 extra lands gives us 21 lands. 21 non-Lotus Field lands, and that's very, very important. Strangely, though, you cannot Arboreal Grazer a Bala Ged Recovery onto the battlefield. It has to be a land when it's in your hand. So sometimes the sequencing dictates that you have to lead with the recovery. So on turn 2 you can Grazer. It's still a little awkward. Because the whole curve of the deck is you want to spend 2 mana on turn 2 to find a Lotus Field, then 2 mana on turn 3 while playing your Lotus Field is basically a tap land. So you do kind of want to have 1 tap land and 1 untap land. So it's a little awkward, but the flexibility of this more than makes up for it. Galvanic Iteration is just a strong card to give you extra mana, a lot of extra mana. Right through counterspell some of the time, and it's something you don't mind discarding off of Pour Over the Pages. Your hand is all spells. It's not essential, I don't think, but it's a nice spice. Now, I'm not sure if Omniscience should be in this pile or with the win cons, but the way you win is kind of convoluted and you just need a ton of mana. Let's just leave it here. So in order to fully appreciate the win conditions, to sideboard. So you don't really have a way to win in the main deck. You have Bay of Wishes to find Approach to the Second Sun. It's just cast it twice and you win the game basically, and the main idea is to get Omniscience into play with all your mana ramp and drawing, then cast Approach. But you can also win with, there's a bunch of other bullets that you find. There's not a ton of actual sideboard cards. It's mostly just stuff to wish for, but sometimes you just wish for, you can't fully go off and you just wish for an Ugin or something, and that usually is good enough. Other things you can wish for are 9 lives just to protect yourself. It doesn't matter if they flip a thing in the ice. It doesn't matter that that thing attacks for 7, because it still has to hit you 9 times, Anger of the Gods, Supreme Verdict, good sweepers. Wilt is get random permanents that would keep you from winning. Um, Big problem with this deck is the card Stamping Sphere is really good against Lotus Field, and you need answers to that. So you usually bring in some amount of Disenchants, and Blink of the Eye is a good catch-all that you can either wish for or board in. Um, you can Blink of an Eye, a Narset, which will keep you from drawing cards during your combo turn, or an Ashiok, which will keep you from searching with Emergent Ultimatum or Sylvan Scrying. Ugh. But yeah, and Thought Distortion is just sort of a hammer against control decks. Anything that just holds up counter spells and doesn't let you win, just all your wishes have to be countered because you just get a Thought Distortion and they can no longer counter it. But yeah, other than that, the big sort of payoffs for all this mana are Peer into the Abyss, which is draw half your deck. Usually, you can do this with 2 mana up. You'll draw Hidden Strings and start. You draw like 30 cards. It's usually trivial to win. The other sort of explosive thing is Emergent Ultimatum. Search for 3 different monocolored cards with different names. Opponent chooses one, and then you cast the other 2. A typical stack would be something like Omniscience here. Pour over the pages. They they have to choose between you having all the mana in the world, all the cards in the world, or some of the mana, some of the cards. So no matter what, you're gonna get you know, ton of cards and some mana to then, keep going. All the mana and some cards to keep grinding. Or they'd never give you this, but this is all the mana and all the cards. Other possibilities are something like Balaged Recovery and Hidden Strings. So like if you draw the one of Omniscience and you can't Emergent Ultimatum for it, this is a similar pile where it's all cards, bunch of cards, bunch of mana, and then some mana and some cards, and they basically no matter what, you're getting mana and cards. And very rarely, but sometimes you can throw recovery in to get, if you have a pour in your graveyard already, they can't really give you 2 pour over the pages, but this is a way you can accomplish that. And depending on what your hand is, this could also work because it's just mana and pour, or mana and pick up the Emergent Ultimatum again. Yeah, that's the basic idea of it. I'm still kind of new to the deck. I played an older iteration back when Underworld Breach was legal, and that deck got banned, but I'm gonna try this one out today in a couple leagues. So yeah, get to it. I'm also not, warn you all, I'm not incredibly Moto savvy. I was told this deck isn't super click intensive, and I have done non-zero amount of practice leagues, but I definitely consider this a learning process. Here's hoping it all works out. do want to apologize a bit in advance. I might notice my voice is a little gravelly. I have a very sore throat. I've been sick for the last week-ish, so I'm gonna be sniffling and a little hoarse, but we're going to fight through, hopefully. Uh, Well, I am kind of new to this deck. I do tend to play combo decks in other formats, which is why I'm attracted to this style of deck in Pioneer. We'll see how long it lasts. They have kind of just banned every combo that pops up in Pioneer as it pops up. Uh, I do like when a good combo deck can exist in a format, but Wizards of the Coast, it doesn't like that thing. And if they're gonna try to shape Pioneer to be more mid-rangey, maybe it makes sense for them to just ban everything as it pops up. Like I mentioned, I'm not super familiar with Magic Online, but Pioneer queues usually take this long to start. Might need a stream game or something to keep us going. While we wait. More waiting. Alright, so this hand has 2 lands and Shimmer. And all the gas. It doesn't have either of our combo lands. Kind of think it might be a mulligan just because of that, but on the draw, I'm gonna keep. This could just be a mistake, but I'm sort of at very usually I no. My hotkey's not working. Very usually, like when you're learning a deck, you kind of just keep anything that looks remotely reasonable and learn why you shouldn't have done that later. So we're probably in that phase right now. So I'm keeping this, but I'm not necessarily vouching for it as a good keep. I don't know what our opponents. I'm not super keen on the meta, so I'm gonna be surprised by a lot of what our opponents are doing. I hope for no counterspell because we're kind of in rough shape if they have one. Oh, we got away with it. If they're like a what's the enchantment that untaps your land? If they're like a dirtily deck, we can kind of just make mana. Oh, they are a Hullbreaker horror deck. So we can tap this for 3, untap it. So we can make 4 mana, copy, untap. So 4 mana, copy down to 2, untap up to 3, draw. If we draw hidden strings, we just for sure get there. And I don't think we need a ton of extra if we like wait. So I'm kind of just inclined to go for it. Um, because if they untap this horror, like all their spells are counter spells at least, you know. Um, Not really. I haven't really put too much thought into the layout because. Thank you for telling me. Oh, why does it never grab the thing I want to grab? I probably another screen capture. All right. Hopefully that is. Oh my goodness. Okay. Uh, Hopefully this is better. Okay, so where was I? I think I'm gonna pour now. The like slight trouble with that is we might run out of mana on a future turn, but so we're gonna have 6 down to 1. Yeah, we'll have enough to go off. Alternatively, we could shimmer and hope to. So if we shimmer down to 3, we can't. Yeah, we can't do it. So let's just. Uh. So we bricked unless we pour again and hit 2 hidden strings, because we can go down to just these untapped, but that's not gonna quite do it. Uh, so I think we're gonna. Now this is quite a clock. The unfortunate thing. It's a clock and disruption is the very unfortunate thing. If I pour into 2 pieces of gas, then we can untap, but we can't win. So I think we just kind of bricked. Uh, let's scrying for another thespian stage. And copy Lotus Field. I should have discarded the Lotus Field. I think we can, if we have turns, which we don't, we can scrying for more stages. I think we're gonna shimmer. And if they counter this, like they tap out to counter this, you can. Hmm. Day of Wishes could let us like wish for let's get Fail Wishes. I think we just do this main phase. Pass. We're gonna have 10 mana, which means we can wish for the Wrath, Supreme Verdict. If they counter Fae of Wishes, we can then still have a pour. I'll start by cycling. And that will so they have to counter this and then pour over the pages should be able to just get there on its own, hopefully. Fortunately, their counterspell costs 1 mana, because this card in play kind of just ends the game. So yeah, I don't really have any recourse. They don't even need to counter this, but if they do, we just lose. Yeah. But yeah, I had the turn to kill them when they tapped out to creativity that, and I was like, I was 1 card short. I needed to just find a hidden strings. I dug pretty deep, but couldn't find it. So they are Dominable Creativity. Why are they popping over to random places? Want 1 Thought Distortion in the main, a bunch of Mystic Disputes, and Blink of an Eye. Ugin might be good as just like another way to punish them if they tap out, though their thing costs 7. So it is good against the other, mid-range part of their deck. Um, kind of expecting some art, Ashioks, Narsets, that kind of thing. Um, these are good board outs against Ashiok, though I do kind of just like Dig Through Time otherwise. I think Ugin's not necessary. We're gonna potentially have removal. Brawl's kind of usually the first card I board out. Oh, I guess the reason to have an Ugin in the main is if they have like a cranial extraction effect, necromentia or whatever people play in this format. Just a win condition that isn't Fae of Wishes. I also like boarding out Grazers, though maybe speed is important on the play. Just like get under them. But like this Grazer's not blocking and it doesn't attack Planeswalkers, so I don't think it's super necessary. So I'm gonna go with this. First, okay, we have a Lotus field in our opener, and some mana to get to this Omniscience. I don't think we're necessarily just gonna, get to do it all. Uh, Uncontested, but oh, I really want this later. I'm gonna put it on the bottom. We have a Fae to find another copy. So that is like a very strong one to just have, but I kind of don't want to miss land drops. Like a way we can lose is they just play a Damping Sphere. But maybe I'm supposed to keep it on top when I draw the scrying, because I can scry for oh, they put it, yeah, they put it in the graveyard. Okay. Yeah, I probably should have kept the pour over the pages. Because we knew we had at least one Sylvan scrying. Um, so the annoying thing is if we play this and they have Damping Sphere, they just kind of get us. But considering they can just creativity if we like sit around and dirtle, I think we risk it. Like there's a chance they would have played it, but maybe they don't. Like maybe they keep it as a surprise. My goodness. I hate how I can't see what I'm clicking, because if I click the Lotus field, I just lose. I immediately lose. Yeah, also, hold up. I mean, I don't have a mana to hold up for this, but um, there's a chance, like, if we held up blue, they wouldn't have cast that. What are they minus? Let's consider. I can either scrying for something to answer this Narset, which it's Blast Zone and it's kind of slow. I could just Granted for um it's gonna cast Granted while they're tapped out. I put the other Thought Distortion on the bottom. So it's important to note that now when we Emergent Ultimatum, we can't get Peer into the Abyss, because drawing half of our deck won't work with Narset in play. But we can Thought Distortion them, untap Omniscience, Ultimatum for other cards, and win without uh, without really being exposed to that. I'm gonna copy. I could play this just as like they have to answer it because it answers the Narset, or I could scrying, I think. Fine, just casting Fae. Though maybe I should have cast it first, but because like now they can Mystical Dispute it, but I don't really care. Like I'd if they mystical disputed it and I could pay, I would rather just turn on my Lotus field. Okay, so this with Narset means instead of drawing two, we can't draw two, so we just discard two. Um, uh, hidden stages and hidden stage and strings and thespian stage are both mana. Strings could let us do something next turn, but I think we're going to a slightly longer game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They could hardcast a magma opus if they had another one in the land. What did they get with our set? Mystical. Okay, so they do have a mystical dispute. I think that was the mana for the creativity. Oh, this returns a spell, which means it doesn't target, it doesn't counter, so it actually works against thought distortion. So we're going to attack Narset before casting a spell. Um, so they're picking up Narset. We could pick up our Fae of Wishes, but we'd have to discard 2 cards, and I don't really care about that. Um, so yeah, this will get the Mystic Dispute out of their hand. But if they don't, then it gets the Narset. So they're gonna cast their counterspell. They're gonna cast to consider. They're gonna cast something, and it's gonna bounce our thought distortion. We will let them consider, because my plan is to dispute their Narset and make them fight on their turn. Our clock is getting pretty low. But I did spend part of game one messing around with the overlay and kind of just learning a bit as we go too. Now, this costs them a spell or a bunch of mana. Problem is, they're still gonna be able to Mystic Dispute. I guess they can't Mystic Dispute thought Distortion. But our kill currently doesn't care about Narset. Um, I guess the problem is, if we thought distortion them, they can still minus Narset to find a spell to mess us up. I want to thought distortion them and dig through time. I think we do it like this. I could cast the dig first, see if they counter, but I think we let this happen because we know they have a Mystic Dispute. Hmm. Fine, just get it out of their hand, though. We might just be dead here. This card lining up well against Thought Distortion is not good for us. I mean, we just kind of have to go for it, unfortunately. Um, Problem is I don't know exactly what it is. I think we have to get Supreme Verdict and try to kill them on a different turn. But it doesn't work if they have a castable spell, which we know they had, yeah. We could play Emergent Ultimatum, but this still loses to a spell, and even if it resolves, we can't get Pour. I mean, we can get Pour for mana, but it doesn't exactly get us anywhere, and we don't have Omniscience is in our hand, so Emergent Ultimatum is a lot less good. Yeah, they just had they had the main deck card that kind of trumped our strategy, and they hit it turn 4. Wonder if there's anything we could do. I'm not like I'm not an aficionado with this deck. I'm sure there's like a somewhat obvious thing we could have done, but I don't know if our draw. I don't know if our draw just kind of didn't line up well against theirs. Yeah, that's sort of the problem with super linear combo is sometimes if they have the right answers, you kind of have no shot. This hand's a little weird in that you don't want to play stage as one of your first 2 lands because then you sacrifice it to the Lotus field. But if I go Arboreal Grazer, I have to put it in on turn 1. If I go Recovery, I can go turn 2 Grazer, uh, Sanctum Field. So I think I want to do that. Like, if we draw another land, guess I'll regret it. Um, and Sanctuary is also just like gas. if I keep it in my hand. Okay, they have the way to attack through our O3. Copy so we don't get like Field of Ruined. And now we can grant it for Anger of the Gods if that is good enough. Or just try and kill them. I can get to 8 mana, which is not enough to kill them. And I have a backup Fae. So I'm just gonna kill all their pressure. Okay, they're exiling cards from our graveyard. I'm gonna shimmer. Okay, does Pour do it? That leaves us with 6 mana, 7 mana, plus whatever we draw. And certainly the card we take. Uh, yeah, get a stage. Play a stage. Cast a 1/4. Copy a Lotus Field. Now next turn we have 10 mana. Plus, whatever. You don't really care what they're exiling. Ten, 11. One more mana, we can for sure get Ugin. Think. We just kind of go for it. Oh, like I can get another Anger. And just like keep postponing these decisions. I think Pour is better than Dig here. Pour is just such gas, always. Back to 10, 11. Alged Recovery can find us more. Yeah, if this was an untap land, we could Ugin. Oh, I could recover anger. Or just wishes for another anger. I think I don't want to let them know I have two angers in my sideboard. So it will let them know that I'm bringing one in. Um, this is the part that I'm not 100% sure of. Do I board in one of these two and, like, assume if I'm going to wish anger, it's going to cost me all my mana? I don't have enough mana for this. So I should just main deck it and hope to kill them for real. Like it's gonna be tough to wish for this and cast it. So I maybe should just be main decking it. Had some graveyard hate, and I don't think we need to go super long. This is also in the camp of maybe wishing for it is too slow, but it could also just be the case that if I'm wishing for anger, 9 lives is good enough. I don't think we need iteration. I think that's a bit more gas. Like, we don't need a ton of gas. We just need. They're not going to be super disruptive, I don't think. And if they are, it's going to slow them down. Baral's kind of a blocker, but also not super likely to survive. I don't think they. Can they afford to board out all their fatal push effects? I have to imagine. What do they have? It's like graveyard exile cards. Hydro. I think this is correct. I don't know. Like, a bring blink is just an answer to anything, but I don't know that we need it. This is a hand that kind of just loses to Damping Sphere, which kind of likely that they could have. Like, any deck could play that card is the problem. But doesn't Grazer into field into, I think if we draw the right two cards, like if you draw Thespian Stage and Pour, we can win on turn 3. This might just be I don't understand fully the complexities of the deck kind of thing. Like, you keep more hands early on kind of thing is probably how I should have said that. This could be a clearly awful keep, and I just wouldn't know. Oh, plenty of Lotus Field. So is this the part where I put in stage and set up to win on the same turn with 2 hidden strings? Like, maybe they don't play a Damping Sphere if we do it like that? I don't think so. Like, we're gonna use all our mana to untap our mana. And we're not, like, close to winning. Like if these were both pour over the pages, I might consider that. But I think we're too far from winning to do it like that. Whereas now we could potentially win with even a somewhat reasonable top deck. Uh, we could probably get a better block on a future turn. We also might not. Next time we take 9, 10, probably 11, 12. I think I meant to block here. Okay, what was my sideboard? I do not have the Wrath, but I do have Anger. That might actually be bad. They can give this protection and this will survive. Because I can float 4, untap, go down to 2. Copy, untap, have 1 floating, 7 mana. Wish. Um, they've got 11 showing. Another Thalia's Lieutenant kills me. Because I can for sure get Ugin if I just tank this hit. Or I could Wrath 2 of their creatures and it kind of just uses all my stuff. I think I just pass. Look, 2 mana. So I copy, untap, Shimmer. I don't have enough mana to Shimmer into a Pour, I don't think. Like, if I could do that, then I could maybe go off. And just let them attack. Maybe they play around something. So we got like if we were on the play, we win that game. I could have wished for 9 lives. Maybe that was right. Oh, I think I could have. I know I did the math and figured out I could get a 3. I forgot. I don't. Yeah. Back when I played this before, this card didn't exist, so I keep forgetting it's there, even though I did look at my sideboard. Does anything change about play and draw? I guess it might have been the case that I chumped too early, but I don't think so. They like put me to -2, so I think they had enough, even if I block differently. Yeah, that was a close one. This does not have good dig, but it has Our lands, our mana, and our payoff. I think we keep. The most important card is missing, but we do have everything else. So maybe that's not what you're going for in an aggressive matchup. You play Fae as just a blocker. Or I could cycle Vizier. Like, I think I have just enough gas that I just want to keep my life total high. Now, the problem with blockers is that creatures get big. So this, is a blocker for maybe 2 turns. If I play Vizier, it could let me like play Lotus Field and just use it immediately. But also not. Could help me block, but if they have a Lieutenant, it doesn't for sure. I mean, I can't just keep putting Lieutenant in their hand, though. Hey, Darth Jason, what's up? I think I Shimmer. It's like the natural curve is to find Lotus Field here and then just win next turn. I could have cycled and shimmered just to like dig a card deeper. But I can also just do that next turn looking for field. Okay, they did have a Lotus Lieutenant, so 1-3. I guess they're putting it on here. The 1-3 could still block, so maybe 1-3 would have been fine. No, +2/+2. Um, is this the turn where we Vizier first, then Shimmer? I think so. I could recover a Shimmer, but doesn't exactly get me excited. Okay, Sylvan Scrying will for sure get us Lotus, but you've kind of dirtled too much. Uh, so we find Lotus, play it, or we get rebooted. Okay, that kind of messes with our plans because I'm trying to figure out if we can like hidden strings recovery, hidden strings pour, like just do it all. Right, still get to block an X3, take 5, 9. think no matter what, we're dead if we them enough turns. So we can blast zone, put a counter on it, untap it. We wouldn't have enough mana. I have to play a land to pour, which means I have to draw Grazer and Lotus Field and not have enough mana to use it all. I think we're just dead. Play Blast Zone, kill Thraben Inspector, block, take 5. But I can't do anything else this turn. Play Blast Zone. Hidden Strings, untapping 2 thing, tap this, untap, suit up, attack. Get a couple extra mana that way. So I tap 2 to put a counter on this. Hidden Strings, untap this, tap this, suit up, attack, untap 2 lands. I'm still a mana short. That would put this to 4, 5, 6. We wouldn't be dead, but I think we're short. Suit up. Suit up. One thing's untapped. But I have to tap the 2/3 is the problem. If I could untap lands all the way, I think I could get there. Yeah, I think we have to kill this. Chump, hope they don't animate Mutavault. I think we're just dead. Ugh. Yeah, I just like cast 3 look at the top 4s and just didn't find a Lotus Field. And then when I did find one, they had a freebooter and it was Sylvan Scrying. No, maybe if I play the 1/3 on that super early turn, I get to block. There was a turn where they had a 4/4. They had a 2/2 Luminarch and a 3/4 Raven. So one of those gets to be 4 power or 3 power, and the other one I can block. Basically for free. So maybe it saves us a little bit of time, and maybe it adds mana on future turns, but I'd say we draw less cards, but we ended up not drawing into what we need anyway, so. Like, time was definitely the bottleneck. I also could have maybe just granted for an anger or something, but we didn't have red mana because we didn't have a Lotus Field, so. I don't think it was that either. Jason, if you don't mind, is the webcam and everything in a good location? I kind of just threw it up there. Maybe do this. I mean, we can still go undefeated in the rest and get our money back. I'm hoping to do. The first couple leagues don't necessarily have to be perfect. Okay, we have everything we need really. Like we can play turn 2 Grazer and then scrying for a second stage. Um that for points, an aggressive red deck is gonna have to race, and this hand actually does that pretty well. Um their Phoenix. Probably just depends how good Pier is. Maybe we could take it slow and just scrying now. I think getting Lotus Field into play is gonna be good. Like next turn we can cycle, scrying, play the land and copy. Right? Yeah. And that'll set us up to just strings into stirrings. And there might be a more controlling blue-red deck. Oh, or we could just draw this. So now this lets us scrying for a stage, play a stage, grazer a stage. Is that even good? Doesn't really seem it. I can do the float a mana, copy, untap both stuff. Like that would let me grazer into stage. I mean, it'll give us less mana on the turn we go off, but also it'll give us another state, like an active stage. So maybe not even less mana. I untap, have 6 mana, recovery, down to 3. That would get me exactly 7 mana to here, but then I have to discard my hand or most of it. That's fine. think I just do the setup. So the value of recovery here is you can just get back hidden strings and here with mana up next turn, but I like we're not under pressure and we have two blockers, so like Phoenix isn't just gonna kill us. I don't really know what deck they are yet, so we might just need to buy back this pier. Yes, guy. I think we just chill. Haven't given us a reason to do anything. Okay, so I'm guessing they're not Phoenix. But we can also now we can set up like pour, recovery the pour, all in the same turn. Sort of run them low on counter magic. Like we have such a strong mana advantage. Oh. I guess that doesn't really push our mana advantage because they're still, using their mana to cast one counter spell, but there's a chance that they don't have a counter spell. Like we don't need to recovery anything but pour over the pages, I don't think. Oh, it exiles it. That's kind of rude. So now I can recovery scrying and get another thespian stage to sort of push our mana. I just pick up the stage. I don't. Oh, I wouldn't be able to cast it all. I just don't get to do it all anyway. Um, hmm. Not playing this Grazer till I have to. Now, if they have a Wrath and they want to cast it, Otherwise, it just like is a card for a pour over the pages. Gonna hold still. Try to cast a bunch of spells in one turn. And casting spells on end step is not great for us. Because it might let them get, hit their land drops, play this draw go game with us. Like, I don't think our top decks are as good as theirs on average. I just need them to like tap out for a planeswalker, and I draw another gas spell and have the mana to cast it all. I think that's how I need this game to go. Like if we brick and they just get to plus Tef and counter our spell. And we probably just lose. We gotta go for it, so that's what we do. Well, we didn't get there. Hope they care about this more than they should. I cast a 3-mana counter spell on this, and then we can still peer through a spell pierce. Maybe I should have resolved this on the turn that I could. Ugh. There's no way this resolves, but I mean, if it does, we just win. Eh? Oh, they're paying costs. Like maybe they have to. Yeah. Oh. If they didn't have the exile counterspell, we would have had pour over the pages this turn as well. I think this one's all over but the crying. I mean, Tef Ultimate doesn't really affect us, but drawing 2 cards a turn, something we can deal with. Them tapping low for this maybe gives us a chance, but they can still cast a counter spell, so. Seen enough. Alright. Our control deck, so we want to thought distortion them. Mystic Dispute to weave through some stuff. Blink of an Eye to take a Narset off the table. I don't think Arboreal Grazers are where we want to be. Maybe I should trim on something else. Like, I don't think we want to play the Memory Deluge game, but this is sort of like a grindy card that we could play. I feel like if we're never wishing for Deluge, right? We're wishing for Thought Distortion. So maybe like Deluge is better than Baral. The Baral is the thing I can play on too that lets me double spell early and often. Also attacks a Narset. I think this is what we want to do. Could be wrong. Alright, this is another one of those. It has everything but the Lotus Field hands. I think we keep. It's not a race. Alright, I'm not tapped out. Why isn't my F8 working? Because that's not how F8 works. Could just hardcast Vizier, or I could cycle and look for Stick Deluge. I think I just draw. I don't want to just jam into them. I don't want to tap out for something unimpressive and then they tap out for Narset. Whereas this lets me have more draws to the good cards. I copy a Triome, all the Storm Giants, or a Sanctum. I think a Hall. Tap out for Tef and Plus. Like, they would just lose if we had the Mystic Dispute we've been repping, but we don't, so they probably just get to plus untap Dovin's Veto mana and win. You can play Baral, scrying. Then we can't copy it. Or we can just scrying, play it, copy it. Now if they counter this, which they kind of have to, we get to Balagad recovery it, and okay. Got 1 mana counter spells over there. This at least pressures the Tef, but they just have infinite mana and infinite cards. I think we're dead. Oh, they minused. I think that's good for us. Because I don't give a flying fuck about that Brawl. I mean, maybe it would let us do scrying, they counter it, pour into stuff. I think, yeah, they graveyarded. I can copy Castle. Scry on upkeep. Oh my goodness. I don't think we're doing that. I think we have to draw Lotus Field. I guess even if we draw it, we can't go off, so yeah. So if we drew Scrying, we could cast it. That gives us 3 more draws, but they get countered. They just attack us with all over the next 2 turns. Pretty sure even if we draw, maybe they don't attack, but like even if we draw a field, I don't think we can do anything. Like if they don't attack this turn and we draw a field, maybe we can set up a double pour turn. Saw it. Oh. Let's just practice with the deck. Maybe I'm just not supposed to keep any hand without a Lotus field or something that can find one, but I mean all these hands have everything else. Them tapping out for that tap 5 was I thought that was crazy. Like that's how we win that game is we counter that and just go off. Certainly do that. But maybe they just didn't have any counter magic at that point. They needed to just resolve Tef and then draw all counter magic, and then they did all those things. Maybe they thought we couldn't go off if we didn't have field. It's not too crazy for us to just like have hidden stirrings there. Maybe I'm supposed to be cutting gears. Game 1 I could have pretty sure I could have just drawn half my deck and then kept the perfect 7 against a control deck. I probably should have just done that instead of what I did. Well, this is 2 Lotus Fields, but not a 3rd land. So I'm gonna have to mull. Alright. This hand is pretty perfect. Bottom. Well, they get our scrying and our hand sucks. That's how it goes. It's kind of what Thoughtseize does. They cast it and messes up their plans. But we get to draw another Lotus field. Hopefully that will sustain us. They're not applying pressure. Probably just get to win. I mean, the pour has to hit, but they could always just like Thoughtseize us. Or they had a companion. Okay. I don't know what a Zerda deck is, but guess we'll find out. They could have Field of Ruin. We could like try to Vizier into hidden strings, but I'd rather just have it on a future turn if they like slaughter games me or something. Permanent card. Maybe they're like Grixis Planeswalkers. Not expecting a drowned catacombs from this start. think that means I take it slow. There's not a ton of single blue counter spells they could have that are like hard counters. I could certainly take it slow and get value that way. And any planeswalker they tap out for, I'm pretty sure doesn't. I guess they could have deck miss dispute. Nine mana. Keep going, and Hidden Strings could play around a honor spell. Passing and letting them thought seize doesn't seem great. Also, hitting strings and brick again doesn't seem great. They run the risk that they have counter magic. Like, I can beat a censor. Down in the lock. Sure, sure. That was gonna get me eventually, no matter what. Seven. Oh, they get to drown another. They get to drown our Emergent Ultimatum if they have it. I think it's worth going for. Get to Temple if they do have the counter spell. That to me feels like pretending to have it move. Like, I don't think you do that. You actually have it. Maybe they do. Enough. I could set this up to kill Zerda, but I would rather scry. Didn't have six here, but we're 03, and We're getting Drown in the Locked. No cards in our hand. I'd argue that it's gone better. Or obstructionist? Fucking what? I don't even know what they targeted. Because you can target the cycle, or like the draw, or the untap. Well, they targeted the untap, which is the wrong one, because I would much rather draw. Ugh. I don't know what our opponent's clown cards are, but they picked up Obstructionist. Kind of okay with that. Doesn't really do it. Like, it stops the blast zone, but I say I don't think the blast zone's important. I mean, if they play a Narset, it becomes important, but alright, cast my spell. I could make another blast zone, and, like, get rid of this pressure. Or I could get Galvanic Iteration to beat counter spells in later turns. Like, if they flash an Obstructionist and have another one to cycle, I'm on a pretty tight clock. I think I want this iteration. I don't know, maybe I'm just gonna be tight on mana anyway. I think I just hold this for a Kolaghan's command. Like, it gives me one more mana. And I have a lot of mana. I think we just keep taking our licks. I think I've scryed. Oh, I've put a bunch of cards on the bottom with Shimmer. I don't want to cast this. Now I can get us another Lotus Field, and that will for sure give us enough mana to iteration plus thing, but pretty sure they let Hidden Strings resolve, and we get to cast 3 copies of whatever we draw. We just need to draw the thing. Maybe I'm supposed to iteration this Shimmer. Yeah. So if they counter this, we don't have enough mana to iteration and, but it looks like they have sixed. So I think I'm correct in how this works. If I flash this back, it'll copy it, and then next thing I play, it'll copy it twice. I mean, this is basically for fun at this point, so this is a good time to figure this out. I get to copy the counter the trigger. Yeah, that's fine. I'm still casting this. Um, Holding control. I think that's what I need to do. I also need to draw something off these three cards. Okay. Five, six, 7, 10. So 5, 6, 7. So I use all this mana to see their hand, and I don't think I can do it all. So I'm just going to pick up Emergent Ultimatum. Omniscience. Here into the abyss. Or over the pages. Done. Holding control. Our clock is so far down from this one game because nothing happened. I mean, other games shouldn't take this long, but oh. And before I play Omniscience and they like blink of an eye it or something. Uh, or to resolve first. Granted omniscience. It's granted stability. Grab memory deluge first. Grab approach second. Cast approach. This doesn't work quite how I want it to, but glad I learned that now as opposed to later. think that was game one, but they conceded the match. I don't know. Yeah. Well, we at least learned something. I mean, I could have cast it and flashed it back with my mana, but I think Pier would have been better now that we gained 7 life and we weren't just gonna like die to a bolt. Like this is why we're playing these games out, because I learned something that game, even though it didn't matter. Like not learning that in a match in a game where it does matter is worth a lot to me. All right, we got our lands. No ramp really, but you've got a lot of action. All right, there's our ramp. Um, wow, maybe it's worth it to still just shimmer, but I want to get the thing into play. I could try and go off this turn. Um, our opponent's presenting no pressure. Maybe they've got like a spell pierce or something. I wouldn't expect they have anything main deck. They're targeting my Grazer. Interesting. Like it flips it, but that can target my face. This block doesn't matter, but if we draw Dig Through Time, I want a card in our graveyard. Um, let's keep going. Find some action eventually. We can recovery a pour over the pages if it comes down to it. We have a lot of mana. Hidden Strings, Black, Cipher, Urgent Ultimatum, Pier, 4, Omni, done. Hold control of mana cards and spell get recovery to do it all again. Like this is what I wanted all of our other matches to look like. This is just textbook murdering them. I didn't let go of control, so I'm not sure why it just immediately resolved, but okay, well, we're out of gas, but almost played that as the land. Oh, Ultimatum Exile itself, did not know that about it. Yeah. Okay. Uh, just thin our deck a little. Scry, okay. Approach. Cast, draw into the thing. Didn't actually take that much time. Like that. Like that. Alright. Well, I want cards that answer a Narset. Um, Razors aren't the best blockers. Iteration's good. I want a Thought Distortion for sure. I've definitely won against Phoenix by just having the Thought Extortion that they did not expect. Or, I mean, they can't really play around it, but. Maybe. I mean, Brawl doesn't block anything. It does pressure in our set, but not in a meaningful way. They're gonna have removal. Maybe Pierre isn't the best. Maybe we want an Anger, but I think that's too reactive. Like, we can win if they hit us. We just need to be in a position to go off. This has an answer to Narset, but it does not have our lands, either of them. I think this is a mole. Right, this has everything. I mean, it doesn't have answer to Narset, but don't think Phoenix plays Damping Sphere. So, uh, bottom. They certainly could against what I'm doing. Alright, they just have a Phoenix. I might have some early pressure. Don't have the answer. I mean, we do have a Blastome that'll take forever. Ooh. Hello. Alright. So we're just gonna set up our mana and try to set up an end of turn bounce on tap. I mean, Emergent Ultimatum doesn't care about Narset, but it certainly limits some of the things we can get. Or I could just bounce it and hold up. Oh, I can't even do that with my man. Like, I'd have to do it on their main phase and hope they don't go to combat. Could counter this to maybe stop a Phoenix. I think I'm gonna do that. Like, they probably have their own, but they're not attacking me. I think I'm fine. Just, rough. Fine building up my mana. So now I can copy this, and if I draw the right card, I can maybe go off. If I draw hidden strings, I have 6, 10. I'd have enough mana. I just have to make the colors work. Alternatively, I could Recovery Mystic Dispute and try to, like, try to deal that way. Or I could just play Blast Zone and put it up to 3 and then just, like, dare them to find something else. I'm gonna get Omniscience. Take Blast Zone up to 3. So now I'm set up to kill Narset and untap and do stuff. They don't have a ton of pressure, but they've got a lot of cards, so they can certainly find some. And if they have to, like, tap out to get Phoenix going, maybe I can, like, draw a Pier, blink their Narset, pour over the pages. Fiery Temper. Hmm. I could recover Dispute, play a Pathway untapped as a blue source, and a turn blow up Narset while holding up Mystic Dispute. I only untap with 7 mana that way. And it's not 7 mana that can cast Ultimatum. I'm gonna take at least 6. They have 2 burn spells. I'm dead. I mean, I guess it has to be a Fiery Temper and a 2 mana, 2 damage one, but. Alternatively, I could, like, blink of an eye a Phoenix, kill a Narset, like Blast Zone Narset, and then Blink of an Eye kicked Phoenix. And a turn, kill Narset. I still need to draw mana that way. And I think the best way to draw mana is Temple this turn. And then have an untapped source next turn, because then I could just ultimatum. I think that's what I do. Okay. Does that change anything? Because now I can just get the dispute, and I know that I'm drawing the important card. But then I won't have a recovery, and I'm kind of at the mercy of burn. I can't beat it all. I think I just bounce a Phoenix. They draw, so they topped. That's bad news. Cast without kicker. I mean, we could also just not kill Narset till our turn. Because this is definitely indicating lethal burn. Uh, but, like, I don't think that's an option. I mean, we can still just ultimatum. 7, 8, 9. We have a card that kills Narset in our main. Because we could draw the Pour, use it to make a mana, discard, recovery, play land, and cast Omniscience into Ultimatum. But then I guess we can't draw cards from there. That doesn't help. But it could. Granted. Untap, like granted hidden strings. Shimmer, or like recovery for Shimmer. Like cast Ugin. I think we just let this happen. And just hope they don't have burn. I could be. I can't play around everything is the problem. Okay. I guess if they just have like a negate here, pretty bad for me. Even if I pay there, it doesn't get better for me. So I guess we were just dead. This is beats negate. I think I've done the math on this a million times. I can keep this on the draw, but not the play. Like, we have all our stuff, but we're super slow. I mean, maybe it's just enough of it. Like, we super win if we get a land. But I think it's right to mulligan. This hand also just has all the cards we want. Little weird. Putting Sanctum on the bottom, but I want to keep the worst lands because I can still play a Sanctums untapped after what's it called? After Lotus Field. So maybe if I'm playing around Narset, I could just play second Scrying, second Sanctum, hold up Counterspell. Undo. Oh my goodness, it's chugging. We don't have anything, like, we're not ramping into anything, so I'm just gonna hold up Dispute. Ugh. That was a really good strategic planning. So now I can dispute anything, recovery it, but I kind of want to draw like 4 over the pages. Recovery that. I think one thing hitting me is gonna be enough. Okay. Now we got mana and action. Care about this iteration. I mean, it lets them flip a thing and play a Phoenix this turn. Almost for sure, but then they have to tap down to 1 and maybe I just goldfish them. I don't think my hand is goldfishing them, but like, even if they flip both horrors, which I don't think they have enough mana for, they might. They flip both horrors. 1 Phoenix doesn't kill me. They need 2. Oh, they didn't have a third spell, or they're holding up. I guess it makes sense because next turn I just die to the second thing, so I just have to go for it this turn. through a negate. Okay. So if I play land, I have 8 mana. I can play Pour and pay for a dispute, but not 2 disputes. I shimmer into mana, like into hidden strings. Do that as well. I think I start with shimmer. There's no reason I'll do that. Like, if this goes well, I can recovery and still hold up dispute. I think I'm supposed to. I think I'm supposed to just play poor, protect it. If they have 2, I think if they have 2 disputes, they got me. Good beats. Okay, now I can ultimatum. If they had anything else, they would have cast it, right? Black. Blue. Do missions here. 4. Done. Okay. So I was gonna galvanic iteration, or I wasn't gonna double because that would let us. Why is it on a different screen, Moto? You are so bad. Okay, we got how 50 play points back. That's actually more than I thought we got. I didn't know you actually got something for a 3-2. That's half your entry fee. Why don't people play out that? It's free value. All right. Well, this was a learning experience. Um, couldn't tell you what the lesson was, but I mean, don't run into Hull Breacher horror. That's probably the lesson. Also, understand more how your deck works. It's gonna be rough for the first couple leagues. I don't think we. Oh, I don't know if we punted any games that we could have won, but maybe that's the problem is that I wasn't able to figure it out. I don't know. I'm definitely not gonna play another one tonight. I am tired and my brain is tired. But we're gonna chip away at this bit by bit. But yeah, thanks for watching. You're on YouTube. I'm also streaming at twitch.tv/Zemu Games. If you're on Twitch, I'm streaming on YouTube as well. Um, appreciate it if you follow on those respective. I guess you would subscribe on YouTube. It's free to subscribe, but on Twitch it costs money, and on Twitch it's free to follow. So do that. That appreciate that. I'm gonna try to play this deck more. I want to get into Magic Online and build up a collection, and I kind of want to get into Pioneer because I think Modern is a dumpster fire right now and will continue to be. They're not going to ban 10 cards from Horizons, and then that's just all we're going to play is cards from Horizons. And that seems less fun than playing real Magic cards. So definitely trying to get into Pioneer. I'll try to use the winnings from this deck to build other decks. Phoenix. I've played a black-white Doom Foretold deck in paper. That seems like a nice budget option if it's at all competitive. I'd like to try it again on Moto. But yeah, we're gonna play a lot of Pioneer, hopefully. I'm in for that. Alright, thanks for watching, and good night.